Hey everyone, my name is Yarrow and you're listening to the Embodied Business Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I'm happy to have you. In this episode, I want to talk you through some FAQs that I'm often getting for the Embodied Business Community, which is currently open for enrollment. So if you've been thinking about it and you want a little bit more information, then I hope this will help you out. So let's begin with what even is this. So the EBC is a year-long group community program. We do monthly group support sessions, which are really lovely. We have monthly themed workshops that you can request. So if you are struggling in an area of your business or you have questions on something, then I'll run a workshop on that. We have co-working spaces twice a month. So those are times where we meet for blocks of 2 hours. And in the beginning, we have like an opening circle really briefly because we want to get shit done and everyone commits to something that they're currently working on. And then we quietly work together. And then we check in at the end to see how it went. And usually people bring stuff like their bookkeeping or something that they have kind of been putting off for a while, and then they're usually really proud to complete the task within the group space, and there's a really lovely gentle accountability to that. We also have a 6-module course which I re-recorded this spring. It covers everything I know about building a business basically. So things like, coming up with sustainable offerings, thinking about your content and marketing strategy, figuring social media out, building your newsletter, talking to people, getting feedback, building a Patreon, putting systems in place that support your work, be that around time or around software systems. And then also ways of staying engaged with your bigger picture vision, which I think is so important, especially right now, right? So you can work through the course in your own time through the year. And then as you kind of, work through it and engage with the exercises that I'm offering, you might have questions come up. And then the network that is on Mighty Networks is always there to ask questions and also to ask for workshops specifically on the topic that you want to go deeper into. That brings me to the next element. We have this community on Mighty Networks, which I really love as a space because it is kind of like our own social media bubble, except social media is not distracting, but everyone has their own profile. You can link to your website, you can talk to other people. We have groups and the events are all listed there. You can ask questions. We have Monday accountability posts where you can commit to something that you're working on that week and then you get cheered on. So yeah, that's really cool. I really enjoy being there, and I really enjoy the fact that I can kind of log in almost any time during the week, and there's almost always someone else online, and just this like warm feeling of having a space to turn to with questions. I think that's really valuable to me. We also do virtual retreat weekends twice a year. They're kind of new. I just ran the first one in July and it was amazing. People came together, met each other on a different level. We worked through some workshops together. We asked really big questions. We had amazing conversations. And I think people left feeling really motivated to sort the dreams out basically and plan the second half of the year. So the next one will be in January, and I'm really looking forward to that as well. And then we also have meet and greets, and those are fun because I open the space, we ask questions, we just check in, and then you get broken into smaller groups of 2 or 3 on Zoom, and you get to know each other in that way. And I think that's really great for introverts because you don't have to speak in front of a big group, but you also kind of make more intimate connections, I guess, than you might if you were just talking to people in the network and writing, which is also great. It's kind of more immediate, but I think those meet and greet spaces are really lovely. And sometimes people feel shy, and that's okay, but everyone kind of feels that way. And at the end of the day, I think it's so important that we know other people who have similar values and want to build small businesses, and we don't just connect on social media, on writing or whatever, but we really are face to face talking to other people, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, so to kind of recap, it's a year-long program. You've got monthly group support, theme workshop, co-working spaces. We then have meet and greets. We have the network on Mighty Networks, and then we have the course as well, which you can take in your own time. And then we have virtual weekend retreats. And this year is the first time that I'm also offering mentoring. So I don't offer mentoring in other ways anymore. That's something that I used to do for many years, but you can now sign up for DEBC and kind of add 4 hours of one-on-one mentoring with me that you can take throughout the year. So if you know that you're someone who enjoys group, but you also want a little bit of extra support and accountability, then that could be a great option for you. The price for the Embodied Business Community is $480, which I know is a lot of money in some ways, but I really feel that for what it is and for the amount of support you get for a whole year with the course, the network, and then more than 30 live calls a year, it's kind of like, it feels like a fair price to me. And you can also pay in 6 installments if you like of $80. So I'm not adding to the price if you choose the payment plan. And I also offer 2 partial scholarships of 50%. No big questions asked. There's just a really simple form that asks for your name, your email, and why you want to join. So if you can't afford it, you are marginalized in some ways, which I'm letting you decide, then you're welcome to use the form, and I'll just send you a code to get 50% off. All right, so there's a bunch more questions I want to get to. The next one is, why is it called the Embodied Business Community? That's a funny, interesting question. So it was called the DIY Business Community initially, and I really like that as well because I think we just do a lot of stuff ourselves. I really love DIY culture, but there also came a point where the body as a compass, as a way of kind of leaning into our own intuition has become more important to me. And I also felt that actually we were supporting each other so much in the community that we weren't doing it ourselves. And I know doing it ourselves usually speaks to a community spirit and just figuring stuff out on our own, and that is still what we do. But yeah, I think embodiment is important, and the name just kind of felt better. So I am a body worker too. I train in different massage and movement practices, and I really found, now being in the 7th year of my business, that listening to my body is so important in decision making. I think for me, where overwhelm or a sense of stuckness or anxiety comes in is if I am too tuned into outside voices of what things should look like, or where I should be in my business right now, what I should be offering or charging, or the spaces that I should inhabit. And when I instead kind of go slower and really listen to my body and understand that I'm an animal in a way that has needs, and that's really human, and that I'm also connected to the cycles both in nature and in myself, then I feel so much more grounded, and I make my decisions in my business with so much more clarity. So yeah, I think the body as a compass is really important to me, and many people in the community, I also feel that they are relating almost to the spirit of their business in their own way. Not everyone calls it that, that's okay. But that is something that we often talk about and that I think we share. So yeah, that's where the name is from. The next question is, who is this for? And I think I've really been thinking about this because I don't want to say it's for everyone. I think the community is special because we all share something, but it's not actually the most obvious stuff that we share, because I think there's so much variety in the kinds of business that people run and where they're at. So some people are starting out, some people are much more established, they are several years in, and yet we have so much in common. And I think that's because we are connected more through our values than through what we do or where we're at, if that makes sense. So there's lots of people that are doing body work. We have a lot of creative people, makers like potters or people who make herbal medicine. We have coaches and health practitioners. We have musicians and writers. And but I think what we're sharing is values around sustainability or regeneration, We are critical of capitalism in our own ways that are imperfect and different for everyone. We are feminists, I think most of us would say that, and we care about accessibility and inclusion. So yeah, those are things that we talk about a lot, even though, yeah, we do different things and we do things differently. We come from different backgrounds, have different identities, but we still have so much in common. Yeah. And then what is the time commitment? So it is a commitment for a whole year, and I made that choice because I think there's a real beauty in the depth of the time that we spend together. And I also think that building a business isn't something that you do in 6 weeks, right? Like, I know those kinds of courses can be really great too. But what I have found to be really transformative in my work is to get to know people and build trust over a period of time, and really committing to working together in our own pace, taking breaks, but really witnessing each other for a little bit longer is so beautiful. Many people stay on beyond the year. So after your first year, you have the option to extend at a discount. If you like, you can stay. And that's really great. So there's been people who've been in the community for 3 years now, which I so just really love. It's great. Yeah. And then in terms of like time that you invest, so it's really up to you. I know that people have different needs about how much structure they want, how much time they can invest, and that's okay. So you have the course that you're kind of working through in your own time. And then almost every week, there's like 1 or 2 calls that you can come to. And they're usually in UK late afternoon or early evening, or later evening actually, so there's a mix. But I'm trying to offer a time zone that kind of meets as many people as possible. And I know there's still people for whom this won't work, but the reality is that most people in my communities are either in Northern America or in Europe, and so yeah, those times usually work best for people. And yeah, so when you have lots of time, or you're very, driven and you're on fire basically for the season, you can totally spend several hours with the program every week and learn tons of stuff and show up to everything that I'm offering. But if you have times where maybe you have less energy or other commitments that you're working with, it's totally, totally okay to take a break as well. And I think there's a lot of guidance around staying motivated and connected through the year in your own way. So there is a sense of self-responsibility. You need to know what you want from this and add the events to your calendar and show up and ask for help if you need it. But you're also given a lot of support and flexibility. The next question is, what happens for people when they sign up or become part of the community? And this is a tricky question. I think for me, one of the main problems with conventional marketing is the sense of overpromising, and this, these really simplified social media posts where you like, take my program and then you will make 6 figures in 3 months or whatever, or like, I will help you smash all your money blogs and you will live happily ever after. I really can't promise you that. I can honestly say that the EBC is my dream come true, and that this is really what I would have wanted when I was starting out. I did a different online course in my first year that had a little bit of support. It was an 8-week program, and I left feeling that I had learned quite a bit and I had met amazing people, but there was a lot that was missing in terms of complicated questions, difficult conversations, ongoing support, really getting to know other people over time, having a space to be witnessed and really share about, what I was navigating in my own business. So the EBC hasn't always been exactly the format that it is now, and I'm really grateful that it has grown organically over time. So in the beginning, it was just the core course, and then I was offering monthly group coaching calls, and then over the years, I added more and more elements to it, such as the co-working spaces, the theme workshops, the network on Mighty Networks, the virtual weekend retreats came in this year. And now it feels like a really beautifully rounded thing that I think just meets so many different needs at once in one space. Having said that, nothing changes if nothing changes, right? Like you still have to commit to it and show up and give yourself, grace and gentleness, but also challenge yourself in ways that feel good. And sometimes that's vulnerable, right? Like sometimes asking a question is difficult, and sometimes saying that you're not sure about something is difficult. But I think that the community is meeting you with so much openness, and yeah, I think the most beautiful things the most beautiful things happen when we have calls together and people really open up and say, this is what's up for me right now. What would you guys do? Or like, how has this worked for you? Do you have any resources or something that you can share? I really feel that it's so important to stress that there are no stupid questions. Everyone is a beginner in a way. There's so many things right now that we're figuring out that we as humanity have never figured out before. And so no one is expected to be perfect. And that includes me, right? I'm not perfect either. But it is a good space. And so to come back to the actual question, I think what happens for people is that they have more clarity. They feel a bit less alone because there's always the space in which you can share and ask questions. They often feel more motivated, they tell me, because they see transformation in other people. They see and celebrate each other's wins, and that feels really great. And people also say that they feel they have more structure to get to where they want to go, because there are so many different support elements. And if you're working alone from home by yourself, or or even out in the world, it is just a lot sometimes to navigate all these decisions by yourself. So feeling less alone and having the structure to frequently kind of inquire with where you're at and what your values are and where you want to go is something really beautiful that I value so much. The next question is, what are the values? So I would say that we share a ton of values, and yet, of course, that also looks different for different people. So we talk a lot about pricing and accessibility and inclusion. Like I said, most of us would say we're feminist. We are either critical of capitalism or actively anti-capitalist. And again, there's a wide range of what that means for people, but we talk openly about what we find difficult or challenges, maybe even things that we have experienced as traumatic in our past. Like many people have left employment because they were really struggling with that. And those are all things that are totally welcome to be discussed. We also talk about our health, about the sustainability of our work, about the political change we want to see. So yeah, it is very rich. And I think, yeah, we share a lot in that sense. I'm waffling. Finally, what do I teach? So that's me. What do I teach? So I teach a whole bunch of things, and as you sign up, you get access to the course, but you also get access to a few dozens of recordings from workshops that we've been running over the past 2 years. And I've tried to narrow them down by relevance to kind of not make it feel so overwhelming. But actually, it's just great because if you are in the course, or you're missing a workshop or whatever, you can always watch the recordings. That's something that I sometimes do. I mean, not of my own workshops, obviously, but other people's ones, where I maybe do my laundry, or I tidy up, or I do some movement practice, and I just let it play and kind of sink into my mind for inspiration. I really enjoy that. So I teach around web design. Software systems is really something I'm super passionate about. I share about branding and design, about content strategy, social media, building a Patreon, coming up with sustainable offerings, money, pricing, mindset, marketing. Those are the kind of things that I run workshops about. But I'm really open to anything really that is helpful to you. I love researching things, putting presentations together, and then having a discussion about it. And if I don't know the thing, then there's likely someone else in the community that knows more and might be able to point you in the direction of some resources. And then finally, I want to close by asking, how do you decide if this is right for you? I would recommend that you take a bit of time. The enrollment is open twice a year, in August and April. It's always open for 2 weeks, and that, I always announce when it comes up, so you have plenty of time to think about it. You can get on a wait list if this time isn't right for you, but you want to make sure that you get a notification next time. And then I would sleep on it, really look at the sales page, maybe talk to a friend about what this would mean to you, and if the time is right for you, you can reach out to me, send me an email. There is a form at the bottom of the sales page where you can also submit a question, and I'll get back to you within a day or two. You could also, if you're just totally new to my work, listen back through some of the past episodes to get more of a feeling about on what I share and what my values are. Yeah, that's what I do. I listen to your body, sleep on it, let me know if you have questions, and then just let your gut decide, I guess. All right, I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you. That was a funny pronunciation, but if you like, leave a review on iTunes. That's super helpful. It really helps my work, and I'm sending lots of love your way. Bye.